Okay, I've got a question. What do a nondescript European monarchy, a dog named Mistletoe, and a burned cottage pie have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2022's A Royal Corgi Christmas. We've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
And we will unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
If you like holiday movies from the classics to newbies, let's sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh. Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Hi, friends. I'm Jennifer.
And I am Josh, and I am sipping some eggnog this evening. Jennifer, from my family recipe. Are you a fan?
No, I don't like eggs. I like them when they're
Ugh.
baked into things. I
Mm,
appreciate the hard work they do there, but I've never been an omelet or straight up egg person anyways. So to put it in a drink, ooh. See,
well,
you put
I'll
up
let
your
it
recipe
slide.
on the socials.
I
I
did.
counteracted with my ode to cranberry ginger ale.
To each his own. Yes, if you do want to see my family recipe that dates back to my great grandmother, you can just check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Do You Watch What I Watch, and you can make it for yourself. I wanted to share the wealth if it's something you're so inclined to try.
Well, certainly the YouTube audience was clamoring for it. I mean, dare I say you almost went viral.
Nearly viral.
Yeah. And I see you're sipping it in a very festive cup there. Is
I
that vintage as
am.
well?
I am one of these where if Target has something that's under $5 that I think is seasonal and cute, I'm probably going to buy it. And I was definitely sucked into these that they had on an end cap. So I have a set of 4 of these now, making
Oh,
my
candy
holiday
canes for
season.
our listeners.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Candy canes. They
It's
have a Santa
adorable.
one, a wreath one. Yeah. hmm
I love it. I'm here for it.
I figured I needed a stiff drink if we were going to sit here and talk about this movie that we have here, A Royal Corgi Christmas, will you just give us the IMDb just to kick off the conversation, please?
Woof. I would love nothing more. So, to win his mother's love, Prince Edmund gives her a corgi and hires Cecily, a dog trainer. Edmund and Cecily bond over the dog and discover that love can grow in unexpected places.
Hmm, but can it? Would be my big question. And I will confess, I'm the one who drafted this, so I take
Mhm.
full responsibility for this. Let's just go ahead
I
and
mean,
get
there was a
into it.
C. There were so many movies released
A
Thanksgiving
C.
weekend.
Yes, there were.
There were plentiful options,
A
and
bounty, a
the corgi,
cornucopia, a
yeah,
cornucopia, if you
dare
will.
we say a cornucopia, but the corgi spoke to you
It did.
and
It was
said,
something
"Choose
about the
me."
dog. It was something about the dog. Yeah. Mm.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. Let's get into it.
So this is a Mar Vista, and generally speaking, I'm a big fan of a Mar Vista. So we get an opening credit sequence. We are in some European country that might be Britain, but probably isn't Britain, but it's a monarchy. It was very mysterious where we actually were, but there are thick British accents throughout. So
Yes.
our main character, Edmund, he shows up to a very swanky looking castle. He has been apparently off jet setting the world. He brought a corgi as a present for his mom. And we get early on that he is supposed to ultimately one day be king of this nameless kingdom. So
hmm But he has
there's
long
that.
hair and he was in Dubai and then he got a tattoo in
Mm,
Soho. So he's not your average prince.
no, he is yes, he is one of those jet setting, working the crowd, doing the scene, that kind of guy. Anyway,
Yeah.
cut to Cecily, our female lead here, and she's doing a television interview, and there is lots of faux applause on what I think was supposed to be something like the Oprah Winfrey Show or Ellen DeGeneres, somebody of that kind of stature. She
Mhm.
launched a book and a charity and was hoping that this TV host would really get on board, but the TV host is like, no, thanks. So
Well,
we're
and her
back.
book is called Dogma.
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 Mm,
Dogma.
yes. And there is some really bad graphic design. I mean, I'm no expert, but the graphic design on the book cover was just They didn't spend a whole lot
It
of time
was
on it.
real bad. And the talk show
Real
host
bad.
asked her about Churro, her dog, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, is Churro no longer with us?"
Mm,
And Cecily kind of says, "Well, Churro's no longer with her." We'll find out more
yes.
about that later.
Precisely. So we're back in England now. The dog's name is going to be Mistletoe, and it doesn't go well with the palace corgi trainer who is responsible for the queen's two other corgis. So the queen gives out medals at some sort of swanky ceremony, and Edmund's corgi Mistletoe apparently is so poorly trained that he wrecks the buffet that is to feed the guests after the medal giving ceremony. And of course, News is there to document the entire thing, and it winds up going viral. And cut to Cecily, and she is watching the video, and she is aghast.
But she also sees it as an opportunity to get
Yes.
somebody, like, some royalty to invest in her, I guess, nonprofit Rover Rehab that she's really putting all
Exactly.
of her eggs in that basket.
Ugh, somehow, yeah. And this is apparently, interestingly enough, an international crisis that calls into the question Edmund's very ability to be king of this nameless kingdom, because
Mhm.
Mistletoe was so poorly behaved, and it's a crisis.
Listen,
So
Mistletoe was hungry. Okay,
very
maybe even hangry. Mistletoe saw
seemed
some
like
meat
it.
displayed on a buffet and says,
Mm-hmm.
"It's lunchtime." And
Went
Mistletoe's
for it.
gonna do what Mistletoe does and looks adorable while doing it.
Precisely, right?
I see no problem.
So Cicely somehow gets a message to this king that she would like to train Mistletoe, and Edmund gets that message in 2 seconds. So
Mhm.
big, just twist of fate, I suppose you could say.
Is it really that easy to contact royalty?
That was a question I had because it just sort of seemed like, whoopsie doo, we made it happen really fast. Okay.
And if that's the case, can we slide into some DMs and get some more interviews on this pod?
Precisely. Yeah. So
Mm.
anyway, she winds up arriving at this kingdom, and they instantly swap googly eyes because they need you to know that this is going to be the couple that we should fall in love with.
Mhm.
Before she then checks him on the fact that he doesn't yet have a crate or any of the things that one needs to train a dog successfully. So we get sort of flirty tension out of the gate between the two of them. She gets settled in. She meets the official corgi wrangler, who I did not like from Go, and he is super frosty with her. And she still has to hold the prince to the contract that they apparently signed and insists that he shows up to all of the training sessions.
Because she trains the owner to train the dog. She doesn't just train the dog,
And
which I
she's
can get
very
behind
clear.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
the dog owner needs to know how to handle the dog because she can't stay there
Mm-hmm.
forever. Yeah, Alec is the dog wrangler, and he said that Mistletoe is not of the right pedigree or age to be under his care. Also, he's sneakily dating Edmund's sister, Victoria, the princess.
So we get the very brief dog training montage here, and we learn again that corgi wrangler Alec has a semi-secret relationship with the princess, and he has aspirations to sort of ascend to power in the kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
which I still don't know the name of the kingdom. Did you ever catch that at any point?
I said I think it's like Dun Dunbar. I think I liked Dun Dunbar better than Comfrey Castle. So maybe it's Comfrey, which sounds like comfy, but they've renamed it Christmas Castle for some reason. I don't know. And then I said, should we do a castle ranking at the end of the season?
So we get a tree decorating montage, which is kind of nice. And then Mistletoe decides he's going to grab some sort of 16th century heirloom, which basically looks like anything you'd get on the clearance shelf at TJ Maxx.
It was
And
like
that
hand
apparently,
whittled by some relative, a relative. Yeah.
yeah.
I wrote Cecily is a delight. Alec is not. And why does she keep bowing like that? Because she's trying to impress them. I know that was part of the bit, and it
But
was probably the only funny part of the movie, but she was like, she had her hands like in prayer mode and was like,
trying to
I don't
curtsy
know.
at the
It looked
same
like a
time, it
knee
was
was out of joint. It was
very
very
awkward.
dangerous.
Very
Mm.
awkward. Yeah. So it turns out that Edmund has sort of like a secret library in the castle, which I was very jealous of. I wish that I had just a little secret chamber that I could hide away in. And so he goes in there, and our leading lady, Cecily, finds out that that's where he is, and she joins him in the secret library, and they discuss books and some of their family complexities, kind of an attempt at a bonding moment here, and it feels a little flat for me. The chemistry throughout just didn't really connect in a way that sort of felt authentic. I don't know, but this scene was just
I
a little
didn't
rough.
really care. This was kind of copy and paste from every other royal movie we've seen in our time.
So it turns out that he has a public event to go to, and he invites her to go with him. Turns out Mistletoe, the royals were so concerned about Mistletoe's behavior, but he is an instant celebrity, and the public loves Mistletoe.
And there's a lot of mistletoe merch. There's
yeah,
shirts and all kinds of
already
stuff for mistletoe.
they jumped on it really quickly.
So
And
funny.
it turns out that the prince really sees this as an opportunity to better connect with the people and sort of set the stage for his ascension to the throne. During the midst of all of this, he learns about a foster home that could use some presents. And so he takes some presents over to the foster home, which is sort of sweet and tender. He winds up playing basketball with them for about 8 seconds. After the basketball game, he asks out Cecily on a date. So, cut to him. He's then reading her book, again titled Dogma, and he sort of has to plan B, the date, when the press secretary for the kingdom, Hobbs, swoops in and he says, we got to worry about the paparazzi. They know that you're going downtown with a lady, whatever. And so they decide that they're going to make a cottage pie, which I think the implication is that this is basically pizza, right?
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be like a shepherd's pie.
Something. Anyway,
Maybe pizza pie. That might make more sense. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, we get a little bit of her backstory during this pseudo baking montage. And suddenly we're dancing in the kitchen and they burn the cottage pie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got to look alive when you're cooking, guys. You can't be too flirty.
Gotta watch
that's
it.
a fire hazard, okay? And only you can prevent cooking montage fires.
That's exactly right. Where's
if you
Smokey
cook responsibly.
Cook responsibly. Exactly. Have that fire extinguisher at the ready. Sometimes you got to put out the smolder. We're not talking about the romance.
And also, I wrote at this point, because I had to watch commercials. Ugh, I hate commercials. But I wrote, there's a Whitney Houston biopic coming out. I'm listening.
Did you see that? I did the same thing. And I thought, oh, let me Google this immediately and see what the deal is.
Is it on Hallmark or Lifetime?
It's actually going to be in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had not heard of that. So anyways,
maybe we'll do a special edition where we review that completely unrelated to anything holiday movie-ish. We'll see.
That's fine. We got to do something in the off season. It's fine.
Off season. I love that.
She was in that. No, we should do the Whitney Houston movie. The Preacher's Wife. Did you ever see that?
Yes, of course.
So good. The music's so good. Heartwarming.
Her version of Joy to the World we get. Yeah, absolutely.
Come on. That gets you straight into heaven if you just listen to it once.
Please.
Escalator straight up. I'm pretty sure that's how that goes.
That's exactly right.
I need a disclaimer. Do not take what Jennifer says as theology. Okay, thank you.
Everyone's going to be like, where do these people go to church?
Have lots of prayer circles for us.
Seriously. We love you, Kevin Queen. Anyway.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out. Anyway, we are on the royal family Christmas hike, which is apparently something we do in this kingdom. And they also tie wishes to a tree in the middle of the forest. And after that, they take all the dogs, of course. And after that, they've got to give Mistletoe a bath. So we get a scene that involves giving Mistletoe a bath.
And there's a tree in the bathroom.
Yes.
A fully decorated tree. Do you have a tree in your bathroom? I know you guys have a lot of trees in your house.
Not yet. Our tree count is up to 3. I'm currently advocating for a 4th in our bedroom, and we've decided we want to give 1 in our other kids' room. So we'll probably be up to 5 trees maybe next year.
Yeah, we have our downstairs tree. I now have my office podcast tree behind me.
Love it.
And we have a tree in our son's room alongside a Peppa Pig inflatable who's taller than the tree. And then we have like a wooden crafty thing that we put lights on that's in the shape of a tree, but it's not like an actual tree, but that's in our bedroom. So I
Lovely.
guess we have four.
So we decide we're going to put on a charity Corgi Derby, which sounds like the
Darby.
Kentucky, yes, which sounds like the Kentucky Derby,
Hmm.
and it's going to happen in 3 days. So they're going to throw together basically what amounts to the Kentucky Derby for corgis in 3 days. Instantly, we cut to the Derby, so all the work to set it up has happened, and Mistletoe wins. And they've raised some big bucks, and she, being Cecily, scores a fancy invite to the ball. Well,
Yes. And the money was going to go to the foster care center, which I did like.
yes, I did like that too.
Yes.
So, cut to Alec, the corgi wrangler, and he overhears her conversation with her manager, who has since come from New York, there to the kingdom to be there, blah, 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 blah. She saunters in wearing a Cinderella gown. Alec has basically heard her talking to her manager about everything and the charity. And so Alec has sort of told himself this story that she's there to basically undermine the kingdom and get close to the prince so that she can use that connection to forward her charity, her rover rescue, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, not on my watch. And so he sees an opportunity to get her out of the way and basically undermine the prince because he wants the princess to become the queen so that he can have access to the throne. Long story long. Yeah. So the corgi wrangler winds up swiping the notebook that the manager brought. And I wrote in my notes, isn't this just her charity plan? I mean, how really damning can this information ultimately be?
Well, he said that it had information about all of the people in the royal family and kind of like what makes them tick. So I guess he thought this is how she can use that information to manipulate them. But it's probably all stuff that's on Google. Like it's not
Right?
really insider information. He just put together a little notebook as you would do for any kind of a formal presentation.
This felt very much like we needed to have some major conflict in the last third of the movie that could
Hmm.
potentially drive them apart. And it just, I don't think it really worked.
I thought it was weird the whole movie how accepting this family was of her. I mean, I
Right.
enjoy her as an actress, but I don't know why they were like, oh yeah, of course you should go to the wishing tree walk. You should decorate the tree. You should da 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 da. Here's a tiara to wear to the Christmas ball. Why? She's a dog
Why?
trainer. And that's
Yeah.
fine if you're a dog trainer, but I wouldn't expect to wear a tiara
No.
if I was a dog trainer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the point, I guess, with these royal movies. Maybe you just want to be, it's
Ooh,
like grown up Disney fanfic kind of thing. Is that the gist?
I
I'm not a
guess
big
so.
royal movie person. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I should have said that from the jump, but I didn't get it. I don't know.
Queen is actually in love with the press secretary. Definitely.
Which
And
is like what we saw on Snow
Snow
Bride.
Bride.
And what was the other movie? I don't know if I watched it with you or if I watched it on my own. There was another one recently that it was royalty. Oh no, not royalty, but Catering Christmas.
Christmas is very much
She
the
was
same
in love with
thing.
her like assistant guy.
Assistant. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So kind of a trope that we're used to here.
Hmm.
So it turns out that the princess, when she learns that Alec, her boyfriend and the dog trainer, has sort of tried to undermine the whole thing with Cecily, she gets really grossed out and basically fires him on the spot and
Hmm.
cans him and throws him out. But
Sure.
Edmund totally misreads the whole thing and is kind of really mean to Cecily in this moment. It was just kind of
Hmm.
not happy. Yeah.
People can't just have conversations. They have to just
No.
assume whatever they're told is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and then they have to break up and end relationships.
Yes, and for the love of God, just ask a question, right? Just be like, did you mean to do this? Or what
Yeah.
was your
Why do you
intent
have
with
this
this?
binder
Why do
of
you have this
family things?
binder? Yeah, why is this
Because he
important?
knew she was wanting to do Roper rehab, so that's not
Right?
new.
Not new. Anyway, yeah,
I don't, at this point, I wrote in all caps, "This movie is boring."
right. Very much so.
That's
Yeah.
on my notes, in case you're wondering.
So the queen winds up picking Victoria, not Edmund, which Edmund is kind of totally fine with. We get that he
Mhm.
really doesn't want to be king and that she very much does. And so Cecily goes off to say goodbye to Mistletoe because obviously she's got to leave now. And Mom, the queen, finally talks some sense into Edmund, after which he chases her down. they reconcile and they smooch, and it's over.
And he's going to move to Brooklyn, I guess. Okay, it's time for our gold or coal segment where we each give 3 gifts. If there's more gold, it's a good doggo. And if it's more coal, it's a pesky pooch. And if it's a tie, it's just a meh, Merry Christmas. Josh, coming to you first.
I've got one piece of gold to give here, and it's for the dogs in this movie. They were all very
That was
well
mine.
behaved, very cute, adorable. They did all the things that I wanted corgis to do. They were cute.
Okay, I'm going to give some coal. This movie was boring. It was boring. It never went anywhere. I knew what was going to happen. I mean, everybody says these movies are predictable, and they are in that you know you're going to have a happy ending, but they're not as predictable really as everybody gives them, you know, bad reputation for. Usually, this one was predictable.
Cole, the chemistry between the leads was just not there. It just never really clicked for them. I liked her. I thought her character was good, and I thought she did a great job. I just could not get into the guy here playing Edmund, and I certainly couldn't get into them as a couple. It just didn't really hit for me.
Or it's like, oh, the poor prince doesn't want to be king trope again.
Right.
Like, give me a break. I will give 1 piece of gold for Hunter King. That was the female actress. I had never seen her in any of these movies before. I don't know if she's been in one or not, but I did see that she has inked a multi-picture deal with Hallmark, which I'm happy
Oh,
about because I would
good.
like to see her in a movie where the content was better because it was nothing against her. She did a good job with being a corgi wrangler, but I think you're just kind of limited there. So, yes, I will give her some gold.
My last gift is going to be Cole. For a movie that was supposed to be about training dogs, we did not get much dog training. And so that seemed like a missed opportunity to have the two of them doing something random with the dogs and bonding over dogs and all this other sort of stuff. It just was like, why aren't we doing the thing that she's here to do?
Yeah, they had like one scene with it,
One
and that was
scene, and
it.
that was about it. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and it was like, here, fetch.
yeah, bye. Right. Exactly.
Wasn't super intricate. I'm gonna have to give some coal. Just the plot and the story never went anywhere, which kind of I know is what I just said with predictable. It's related. It just I just there wasn't enough meat to it. It was boring. I can't even think of anything else to say. I will never watch it again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So bottom line, we had more coal here than gold. So overall, we're really not so sure this one is worth your time. We're going to call it a pesky pooch. Is there anything, Jennifer, for you that could have salvaged this one?
Just something else happening. Anything else happening. The only conflict was with that Alec guy that they were making out to be a villain. But maybe if we knew more about his villainry, like that they were more like doubled down on him really having this master plan to take over the kingdom or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What would you have done differently?
If he would have had a girlfriend going into it that we needed to sort of get her out of the way or something to that effect. It needed something more. It was flat, boring.
When I worry about him, that I worry about our dear Cecily, because what if he does this with any girl he meets? He was in Dubai. Did he meet a Cecily in Dubai, and then he's going to break her heart?
Yeah, one never
They called him
knows.
a Playboy Prince, and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I'm shocked this movie was on Thanksgiving weekend because usually that is the heaviest of heavy hitter movies. So maybe they just spent a lot of money on the set. I don't know where they filmed this. Like maybe it was a big production value movie, but the content just wasn't there for me. And we did get one comment from our dear listener, Leslie Ann. And what did she say about this one? She said,
here's my list of what I loved in this movie. The dogs. Short list.
there you go.
So pretty much my take as well on this. Thanks for the feedback on that, Leslie Ann. And
yes.
Yeah, it was just not great.
And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
A special thanks to Nick Schwartz for our theme song, and of course to all of you for listening. If you like our podcast, review it, subscribe, tell a friend. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Do You Watch What I Watch, and YouTube if you want to watch the video. So give us a follow, leave a comment, and you can also connect with us on our website at doyouwatchwhatIwatch.com.
Next time, we've got a new one from Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. Time for him to come home for Christmas. Here's the lowdown from IMDb. 4 days before Christmas, Elizabeth Athens receives a voicemail from an unknown number she doesn't recognize. In the message, a man's voice, whom she doesn't know, makes one final plea to the love of his life for a second chance. We will have much to discuss. And until then,
may your days be merry and bright. We will see you next time.